Hello guys, welcome to the fiction series. Today we are gonna see, what if Naruto was the son of Queen Goddess? Part 2. If you want more awesome fan fiction like this, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. So without wasting any time, let's get into the video. Percy clung onto his seat in fear as the sky rumbled around the group as Athena drove through the grey clouds. Annabeth was next to him opposite of Grover, looking around the vehicle with a mixture of awe and fear. Awe because she was inside her mother's chariot, looking at all the designs within the vehicle and the papers that were stacked in the back. Her fear was about Percy. He was the son of her mother's rival, and being in here was risky. Her mother won't outright kill Percy, not until she had reason to, so she had nothing to fear, she hoped. Athena looked at the two demigods and the satyr via her rear-view mirror. Annabeth, she started. Yes. Athena's grey orb stared into her daughter's own. After a few moments she cracked a soft smile. You did well on your first quest. You did well also, Grover Underwood. Annabeth beamed and Grover stammered out a thank you, Lady Athena. Jackson. Percy stiffened as he felt the goddesses of war and wisdom eyes land on him. Oh, don't be like that. You did well, but you as well as my daughter could have done better. However, as this was the first time for her to leave the camp and you have only been a part of our world for not that long, you did well. I expect you to do better, so make sure you both study well. Yes, Athena, mother. By the way, do you still have one of those orbs you used against the Anteater and her son? I am interested on how you made them and your use of your powers combined with them to defeat a much stronger foe. I thought you were going to be an idiot, but after what I saw I took it back. Percy rubbed the back of his head and chuckled. Well, my brother and I do pranks against each other and others. So I think after all the times we've done pranking, I've learned that it is best to have a trump card or at least a backup plan in case something goes wrong. I took an interest in chemistry around a year ago and even thought it's one of my best subjects. The only reason that I was let into Yancy Academy was because of my high grades in that subject. Athena was silent as she listened to the son of Poseidon run on about the things he and his brother did to his stepfather. She had a folder on that piece of work. Sally Jackson must love her biological son very much if she was with that man. No, a walrus perhaps. No, that was cruel to the Adobenus Rosberus. Maybe a hut, yes, a hut was a better example of Gabe. Clearing her throat, she raised an eyebrow at Percy. Percy, sensing that perhaps he should take out one of the orbs, as Grover and Annabeth were both mouthing at him to do so, took out his last one and handed it to the waiting goddess's hand. Athena looked at it closely. Interesting. I, like many of the gods, were listening to you as you faced off your foes in the arch. Is that gunpowder I detect? Yes. I added it to this one just after the events of the water park area sent us to. I have yet to test it out compared to the other ones I made. Annabeth elbowed Percy as one of Athena's eyebrows started to twitch. Please continue. I shall. Percus, what you have done has piqued my interest and few of the Barnacle-Beard's children have ever done so. Because of this I want to grant you a minor blessing. Grover gave a loud baw in surprise. Annabeth and Percy gawked at the goddess. Oh, don't give me those looks. Myself and my uncle do grant blessing to each other's children. The last time I granted a blessing was to one of his daughters in the 1700s. He gave my son and the son of Hermes his blessing when they went to the bottom of the Mariana Trench. Thank you, Lady Athena. Percy said. Athena waved her hand and Percy felt slightly different. Not much different but different. What was your blessing anyway? Athena smirked in the rear-view mirror. Naruto and Percy stood in front of the doors to the entrance to the chamber of the Council of the Gods, at least Percy hoped it was. Athena had dropped Annabeth and Grover at camp and picked up Naruto and his stuffed fox. So this is Mount Olympus. Too much white and gold. Like someone is trying to hide all the loving that has happened over the years. QB stated aloud as it followed Naruto. Then again, if I was the king of the gods I would want to try to hide as much of my love-making as I could. So Naruto, heard you were claimed, Percy said awkwardly as he tried to reveal some of the tension in the air. Naruto shrugged. Yeah. Anything interesting happened when I was gone? I was the winner of Capture the Flag because I captured the flag. That's how I was claimed. Naruto looked at his brother. I wish you were there, Percy, to see me do so. Percy reached out and tousled Naruto's hair. Oh, come on, bro. You know I would have been there if not for the missing bolt. Yeah, after a few moments both brothers and QB entered. The first thing that came to the boys' minds was that everything was huge. While Naruto was here before, he was flashed out seconds after he was brought in to see the council. It wasn't a very good impression for both Naruto and the gods. Percy hoped that this time it would be different. Heck, he was saying a prayer to the goddess of luck so that Zeus wouldn't try to blast them. Looking around with his eyes, Percy noted that all the members of the council were here, including Hades. There was a woman that Percy assumed was Amphitrite as she was sitting in a guest row next to who he believed to be Poseidon. The air was heavy as the brothers walked. The eyes of all the immortals was on them, judging them as they got closer to Zeus and Percy's father. As Percy passed my Poseidon, he bowed. After a few seconds, he started to walk again, then dropped to one knee in front of the king of the gods. The tension was so thick in the air that Percy would have sworn that he could feel it as a physical sensation. "Boy. Pervy king." Naruto yelled at the king of the gods. Snickers were quickly silenced as soon as Zeus glared left and right. "You still haven't said that you're sorry. Mom said that you should say sorry to those that you have wronged. So say sorry to me." "Why should I say sorry, brat? You went and peed on me." Zeus thundered and glared at Naruto. Naruto glared and shouted right back. "You are the one that had your son grab me when I was about to use the toilet. That is why he is getting punished, you immature brat." "Immature? You're older than me by several thousand years. I reserve the right to act my age, what about you?" Naruto yelled as he shook his finger at the god. "Burn." A blonde-haired man stage whispered, but the words still were loud enough to reach everyone's ears. QB snickered at Zeus' infuriated face as the god tried to come up with a comeback. "Good one, kid." "Thanks QB," Naruto said to his friend before looking back at Zeus. "And also, if I'm the immature one, what does that make you, you big perverty jerk?" Percy, acting quickly before Naruto could really get the thunder god upset, grabbed him by his collar and pulled him back. "Are you trying to get us both killed?" Percy hissed at his brother. Before Naruto could answer, Poseidon cleared his throat. "Perhaps Percy, it would be best if you return my brother's bolt." Knowing that it was properly the best course of action, Percy laid the bolt and its sheath on the floor in front of Zeus's feet. The bolt leapt from the bag into Zeus's hands. The king let out a sign as he held onto his weapon, before looking at Percy. "You have my thanks, demigod, for returning my bolt." Percy bowed and forced Naruto to bow as well. "I thank you, my lord." A blast of lightning went from the bolt and struck Ares, sending him flying. Smoking, Ares got up and was about to open his mouth before he closed it with a click. Most would think that Ares was not a smart god, which was true compared to Athena and Apollo, but nevertheless, he was far from stupid. And he knew it would be best not to enrage his father's wrath any more than it was. Now on to other business. What to do here with the son of the queens? Naruto paced the deck of the ship as her caretaker Obito steered. She was bored and the last time she was on land was when they left the harbor. Flopping down, she let out a frustrated moan. "Obi, when are we going to get where we are going anyway? I'm bored." Obito let out a groan as the girl started to whine and complain. "Why did I listen to sensei when he tasked me to take care of his kids?" Obito wondered as he watched the girl puff up her cheeks and wave her arms. Naruto's red hair rose and she glared at her caretaker. "I want to know, sensei." "She have growled," shouted. Obito shivered as the girl reminded him of Minato's late wife, Kushina Uzumaki, when she was upset. "Take care of her, Obito," he said. "Don't let the elders use her," he said. "Don't let my traitorous student lay his hands on my daughter," he said. "How was I supposed to know that he had a son until I saw the third seal the QB into him after Kushina gave birth to him and then kill sensei's wife?" Obito shook his head as he tried not to remember that night that he had failed his sensei. "If the Moon Eye plan works the way that I planned it, I will be able to redeem myself to his eyes," he thought as he altered the ship's course by a few degrees. "We are heading off the edge of the map where ships sail, Naruto." "So we are going into unknown waters?" Naruto asked. "No." Obito was silent for a few moments. "No one that has sailed where we are going has ever made it past the line of known and unknown sea waters alive before. The only information that we have is based on old maps and rumors from sailors that dove into safe waters before the ships were lost." "Does the uncharted sea have a name?" Before Obito could answer, another voice joined the conversation. "It's called the Sea of Monsters, little girl. It is the sea that surrounds the elemental nations," Kakuzu stated as he walked on deck. The missing ninja of Tokigakure took a seat on a barrel as he looked out over the waters. "When I was a young starting out ninja, my team and I were sent on a mission to track down and kill a man. The man was the leader of a bandit group. Normally we would have let him go after he had fled outside the border, but he had taken the son of our then future lady daimyo. After several days we found out that he had stolen a ship and was heading out to sea." "So then what?" Naruto asked as she rocked side to side. Kakuzu chucked at the girl's actions. She was a piece of work that he would say that scared him. She was one of the most dangerous females or Uzumaki that he had ever had the misfortune of crossing. At first glance she seemed like an carefree airhead. Few have ever survived when the girl got serious in a fight or when she put her mind to something. Once, she let herself be captured by bandits so that she could behead the leader herself. She then went through the camp naked, killing all the members of that party, using her body and innocent mask as bait. Her latest piece of work was making a blood clone, then leaving it at the base she was hiding in with Toby. Then she had rumors spread thought the Toad Sage's network of the location. Kakuzu wished he could have seen the looks on the Konoha ninjas' faces when they read the message that she had told Toby to write on the wall with the blood. Of course, the sage would have sealed the body to be taken to the village. However, the man didn't know that Naruto had placed a seal that would cause an explosion as soon as the body was unsealed, damaging the area it was in. We followed them of course, but by the time we reached them, they were crossing the border in order to escape. My sensei ordered the captain of the ship we had bought to pursue the man. I had a bad feeling and in the cover of the setting sun, stole a rowboat and some supplies and cast off. When I got a fair but far distance away did I look back. Only to see the ship sinking by something attacking it. When I made it back to port, I was half mad with fever and thirst. That is why I am going as far at the last port. I do not want to enter that sea. I may be immortal, but I am far from stupid. My lord, the heroes were successful of retrieving the bolt. Also, it seems that the war is off. Tell me, Castellan, do you think that I am a fool not to notice? Oh, of course not, my lord. I only thought. You thought, pathetic. My form I still be trapped in the pit, but that does not mean my mind is. Perhaps if you were thinking, you would have given the sea child and the girl you see as a sister the monster bait I had crafted. I couldn't risk the discovery of myself being the thief. Hey, why couldn't you have had number do it? She has proven herself far more helpful than you. Her plan was what nearly caused my children to go to war, not you stealing and bringing the bolt to one of my brethren. She is too intertwined in her interest Percy's brother, Naruto. Just like most of the girls are. Naruto? The son of Hera, Persephone and Amphitrite. Ah yes. You told me of him, but I had dismissed the information as I was paying attention to the arrival of my grandson. Tell me, how close are the brothers? Close, lord. It may be Percy Jackson's weakness as the two share a bond. Number wants to use him in her quest to bring down the gods. He is something would break the will of my grandson then. Do as you must. And while she is the greatest asset, there are other ways to bring down the gods. You know what to do. Crystal. Naruto and Zeus glared at each other as the queens took spots around their son. Percy found himself next to his father's legs, on a guest sit. 3 of the gods. Aphrodite, Dionysus and Hephaestus weren't even looking at his brother well, the goddess of love was staring into space, the smith god was tinkering with something, and Mr. D looked like he was slightly worried for Naruto. Aphrodite is probably thinking of what sort of love life my brother will have. Hephaestus doesn't seem to care, not sure that I blame him or not. But what's Mr. D's angle in this? He keeps calling all of us demigods by wrong names, and I can't think of any reason for him to have an interest that is in Naruto's favor. Considering that Naruto took all of his and Chiron's betting money, several gems, 2 packs of sodas, and the trainer's record albums. Percy was slightly scared for his brother. If it came down to it, Percy knew that he would somehow steal his brother's soul from his uncle, or trade his own for his brother's. Artemis looked at her father with worry. After spending that day with Naruto, she had thought of the boy as a hunter's puppy that wanted to play and impress its mistress or little brother. Better than her twin, who was a major idiot for a god of intellect and pervert. Artemis idly wondered if she could trade brothers with Percy, but knew that she was stuck with Apollo. Who, even thought was a pain, was still family and someone that she could count on when she needed it. Looking to her brother, Artemis was going to ask him if he would like to do a hunt together, just the 2 of them, before seeing what was playing on this device. Apollo, who had taken out the headphones, looked at Naruto with interest before he felt as if he was going to be replaced, after which he felt a bit of happiness then danger. Gulping, he looked over his shoulder to see his sister glaring at him. Sweating quickly, the male twin archer immortal went back to observing the boy. For some reason, the boy felt off. Not from the number of goddesses being his immoral mother, but something else. Interesting, Apollo thought as he watched the boy look in defiance at Zeus. Hades wasn't sure what to think of Naruto. Sure, he was of his wife's blood, but at the same time, she insisted that she hadn't had any romances after the oath was given. She had at that time swore that as long as Hades was true to the oath, she would be true to it as long as he was. That was until several years ago when she had returned from a trip to the Sea of Monsters. She had brought back several seeds for her gardens, but also she was uneasy about something. Oziden was like his brother, uneasy of what to do with Naruto. But he was unable to be mad at his wife, as that would make him a hypocrite. So he kept his mouth shut as he did not need to go to the couch tonight. He really wanted to get laid tonight by his wife, and if he messed up he silently vowed to make sure that the boy lived for now. Ares was annoyed at Percy, but was looked at Naruto with interest. Percy, sensing this, stepped between the god's line of sight and Naruto. He still recalled what was said to him by the war god about his brother. Hermes glared at Naruto. Because of the stunt that happened last time in the council chamber, Hermes was forced to clean all the toilets for a week. Then there was the fact that Naruto had shown up his boys with pranks. And messed with the camp's mail and making him follow insane instructions to find them again. How did he send mail to places around the world? He thought as he fumed. After a few seconds, he grinned. Well, at least he has shown that he is a natural thief and prankster. Perhaps I could wiggle out how he did it. And how did he get me to send a stink bomb to my own office? What was that QB? All the immortals stopped what they were doing and stared at Naruto as he started to talk to the stuffed nine-tailed fox. You want to do what? I said I wanted to nap a bit. The fire from the hearth feels so nice on my coat and you will be fine dealing with a wuss with a size problem. But you are better at words than I am. ZZZZ. QB, wake up. The Olympians looked at the god of madness as Naruto started to yell at his stuffed toy. He shook his head, signaling that Naruto wasn't crazy, even thought the kid was having a one-sided conversation with the fox. A rather convincing one at that, Apollo thought, as did the rest of the gods. Apollo could have sworn on the sticks that the shadow of the stuffed toy was of a massive fox the size of the room, but after blinking, it vanished to the size of what it should be. Enough. Zeus roared at Naruto, tired of listening to the boy's voice. Hera, Persephone and Amphitrite, explain yourselves. Especially you, Hera. How is this demigos your son of all your lineage? As one, as thought they had rehearsed, the queen spoke, we don't know. Hera looked at her husband straight in the eyes with anger. Unlike you, my dear husband, I have never laid with a mortal or immortal other than you. I only learned of Naruto here during one of my social meetings with some mortal women. How about you, Persephone? Or you, Amphitrite? Do either of you know how this demigod came to be? I became aware of him when my husband claimed Percus there. Poseidon rubbed his head sheepishly as his wife sent him a small glare. But I have no idea. Persephone, do you have any idea? The queen of the underworld was silent. I discovered Naruto here when he was a newborn near a village that was inflamed. Thanatos was summoned there by a mortal for some deed that he has not let past his lips. I was in the area in what the locals call the Forest of Death when I felt as if something was different. Intrigued, I followed the feeling to a clearing where a baby laid, a man hovering over him with a knife held up to kill. Before I could interfere, an old man stopped him. After a few words the men took the baby to the village. So I knocked them out and took Naruto. I then teleported Naruto to New York and went back to the clearing to look for any reason why I felt my power in the boy. Did you? Questioned Zeus. As the gods listened, Naruto had discovered Hestia and was munching on a cookie that she gave him. Percy deadpanned at his brother while wishing for a cookie himself. A blue chocolate chip one at that. His daughter shook her head. All I found were two bodies of a man and woman. Both mortals, but… What is it? Asked Athena. When I checked the woman's body, I felt traces of an immortal. So we have a mystery on our hands. Do you think that whoever the immortal was, he or she had a hand of Naruto's birth? Apollo asked a question that was on the minds of all present. The immortals were more worried than the two brothers. A demigod whose coming into being that was a result of interference meant someone was hoping to use the boy for something in the future. But for what? Seeing that this meeting only brought up more questions than answers, Zeus chose to dismiss the demigods. However. Hey, perverted old guy. Why are you upset that I am the child of your wife anyway? Last I checked, you are the unfaithful one of the marriage, not her. I will enjoy making him suffer. Zeus thought as he glared at Naruto before flashing out. Several of the gods also flashed out, leaving only Poseidon in the room along with the queens. Percy and Naruto looked at the four immortals, who were no longer 10 feet tall, but were still taller than the brothers. The Sea King cleared his throat. You did well, my son. Thank you, sir. Amphitrite looked over the son of her husband. I am still not sure what to think of you, Percus, as you are the product of my husband's lack of restraint. And no, you will not say your favorite saying in front of me right now. Poseidon deflated at that remark. But you are also the brother of my son, so I ask that you keep an eye on him. I will, Lady Amphitrite. Percy said with a bow. Hera was silent. She studied the brothers. Naruto was leaning on his brother, falling asleep. Perhaps having him won't be so bad, she thought as she looked at her and her fellow queen's son. It will give me a chance to understand why the rest of the council has demigods. Artemis might not have children of her own, but her hunters are like her daughters, so I say it counts. So Athena blessed you while Ares cursed you, huh? I wonder what she gave you. Poseidon said softly as looked at the duo. Percy rubbed his brother's back as Naruto slowly fell into the graces of Morpheus's domain. Sensing that the boys were tired, he teleported them to camp. Percy sharpened his blade riptide as he thought about his summer at Camp Half-Blood. All in all, it had been the most memorable summer he had ever had. Looking over to the rock climbing wall, he saw Naruto racing one of the strolls to the top. Snicking to himself, he tested the blade's sharpness. Satisfied, he turned his blade back to its pen form and pocketed it. But strange, when I first arrived, all I wanted was to get away from the seemingly lunatic people here. Percy chucked as Naruto made it to the top first and dumped paint all over the son of Hermes. Now that I have to go along with the rest of the part-time campers, I feel as if I am leaving home again. Heading towards the training field to get some last-minute practice, Percy heard the sounds of someone training and went to investigate. Take that, Connor. Naruto crowed at the son of Hermes as he wiped the pain from his eyes. Smirking, Naruto raced to the side closest to the forest and jumped off. While he couldn't fly, Zeus was a jerk. Naruto found out he could glide through the air and land safely. He took it as a power he got from Hera, as she was the queen of the heavens. He even thought he couldn't fly. Naruto was happy to have what he got. Water balloon assaulting is so much fun when you are above your targets. He thought with a grin. Landing on a branch, he raced through the branches of the trees, using his arms and legs to move much like a primate. QB was a great teacher to teach me tree racing. Using a branch as a springboard, Naruto cleared the tree tops and landed on the top of a large pine. Looking around, Naruto felt as if he was an assassin from Assassin's Creed or a ninja. Seeing the world from his spot in the middle of the sea of trees, Naruto felt most at home. The way the trees moved in the wind reminded him of water, and the lowering of Apollo's chariot cast lots of shadows to hide in. Closing his eyes, Naruto tried doing the trick that QB called chakra sensing and tried to find the fox. Feeling the nine-tailed critter, Naruto leaped from his spot and landed near its hiding spot. "What's up, kid?" Dust was enjoying the view before we have to go back home to mom. Naruto took out a pair of ham sandwiches and gave one to QB. QB said thanks and started to eat the one it was given. "I'll miss it here. School isn't as fun as it is here. The girls at the school are too formal at times and don't like to roughhouse as much as the girls here. They're just mortals, very weak ones at that, kid. They also have to protect the reputation of the school too." "Yeah, mom said in her letters to me that I may be going to the same school as Big Bro this coming school year as they had an opening. But she has to deal with the paperwork and I will be going to the one I have been going to until it's all cleared." QB lazily took a bite out of its food as Naruto talked. Then QB. "There's a giant caterpillar about to take a bite off your butt." "What? Where?" yelled QB as it tried to find the caterpillar tails together as it tried moved one way then another. "Kill it." Naruto slammed his foot on the ends of QB's tails, causing the tailed beast to scream in pain. "You know what, you don't appreciate it, a joke," Naruto stated as he raced away from QB, who was enraged and wanting blood. Ducking behind a tree, Naruto watched as his mad friend raced into the distance. That was close. Seeing as he was near the creek, Naruto headed towards it to say hi to the nymph that lived there. As he walked, he noticed that something was off. Thinking it was his nerves, Naruto walked to the edge of the forest and came upon Luke and his brother. Raising his hand, Naruto stepped out and called out to the older boys. Percy's eyes widened as he recalled what the oracle told him. "You shall go west and face the god who has turned. You shall find what was stolen and see it safely returned. You shall be betrayed by one who calls you a friend. And you shall fail to save what matters most in the end. Naruto, run." Before Naruto could respond, Luke suddenly appeared behind him with his sword. Percy's eyes widened as Luke pulled his sword arm back. Naruto cried out in pain and shock as Luke thrust his sword up to the hilt into Naruto's body. Dabbing Naruto by his hair to keep him from falling, Luke called out to Percy. "Sorry, Percy, but it looks like you failed to protect your family after all." "The daughter," Naruto called out to his brother weakly as his body tried to keep him alive. Luke pulled on Naruto's hair, causing the younger boy to cry out. Percy's heart lurched in his chest as Naruto blood started to show through his clothes. Help. "You know, I was going to summon a monster to kill you, but this is so much better." Luke gloated. "But when Naruto came to our little spot I recalled what you told me when we first met, how your mother tasked you to protect your brother. I wonder how she will look at you when you tell her he died. All that work to make sure that your brother was safe from a war, such a waste." Percy's blood froze as Luke shifted the blade, causing Naruto to cough up blood. "You know, I really wish you did take up my offer to join me and the Titans. But then I won't have gotten the chance to kill Naruto here." Luke grinned darkly as he saw the rage in Percy's eyes. "But I really must be going." "You aren't going anywhere." Percy screamed at Luke as he wiped out his sword. TSK Percy. "Don't you care what happens to your brother?" Percy looked at Naruto, who looked at his brother in the eyes. "Doit, brother." Naruto's eyes closed as the pain overwhelmed his senses as he used the last of his energy to speak. As darkness closed on Naruto he could see his brother heading straight for him and Luke. Nearby QB watched as Naruto fell unconscious by blood lost. Troublesome ape child. What a day it is," thought QB as the fox lazed on the grass under an oak tree blowing bubbles. The early morning wind went through its fur as it carried the scents of the city. Apollo's chariot slowly rose as if the god was still waking up from whatever the god did at night. Hick. QB looked up from blowing his bubbles to see Naruto walking towards him, looking worried. QB. I have the. "What is it? What do you have?" "A $10 bill. A new comic book." "What?" QB asked Naruto. The hic, I have the hic, the hic, the hic, the hic, the hic. I love doing this. QB thought without shame and a large grin on its face. So do you think we will be able to post another chapter soon, Naruto? I think the natives are getting restless. Naruto glared at his friend, or at least tried to. I don't think, you're funny QB, help me. Fine then, I may be able to come up with an idea after I'm done helping you. Stop with the talking, to thin, air QB. Fine. Here's what we'll try first. They say drinking a glass of water upside down is supposed to help. Naruto raised an eyebrow at QB as he hiccuped. It could help. What the heck. I'll try, it. So are you ready for school today? QB asked as the duo walked towards home. It's yours and Percy's last day there. I think, so QB Naruto grumbled as he walked. But I wish, that Percy, and lay off my, back. They are only worried for you, Kit. Luke nearly killed you, and if it wasn't for Percy and Jupiter, plus my help, you would have died. You were in the care of Chiron for a week in critical care. Your adoptive mother was in hysterics, and Mr. D had to put her asleep to get her to stop choking the centaur when she found out. Oh, yeah. Naruto semi-recalled that when he woke up. Chiron had a neck brace on, and Sally Jackson was in the chair next to him asleep. Percy told him what happened as Chiron ran as soon as he saw Sally waking up. Mom was angry and was yelling a lot. I think mothers do that because they are scared. Mom was scared. Mom doesn't get scared. She's mom. You did tell her that we were outside, right? I thought you did, idiot. Baka, I thought you told her. She's hicking to kill me. Sucks to be you. Maybe I'll be lucky. QB shrugged. Perhaps, but don't blame me so you can get out of trouble. Naruto slowly opened the apartment door as he tired to sneak in. Well, as best as one can with hiccups. Closing the door and locking it, Naruto sighed with relief. He frozen in place as he heard the groaning of the floorboards from the master bedroom. Tiptoeing to the room, Naruto peeked in to see his mother entering the bathroom. Safe. He thought. That was until he heard his mother through the bathroom door. Naruto, go wake up your brother, will you please? Yes, mom. Naruto said as he clenched his heart as he tried to clam down. You have the hiccups, honey. Try to drink a glass of water, and if that doesn't work, I'll give you a spoonful of sugar. Don't do it yourself, you hear me, young man? Yes, mom. With a sigh and a Naruto walked to the kitchen and grabbed a cup. After filling it, he looked at QB. How the heck, I supposed, to drink, this up side down, Caillou. I think you are meant to lean over the drink from the other side. Oh. QB bit the side of his mouth to stop from laughing, as Naruto was drenched from head to toe. Thanks QB, but I, have water up, my nose. What do you want to try next? Try to, scare me. Okay, I think I can do that. Clearing its throat, QB began to list of things. There is a hole in the ozone that is bombarding the land with UV radiation. Terrorists are trying to find new ways to cause mass devastation. We are polluting the sources of water we use to drink and the air we breathe with gases that would tour the world into a sauna. The government is spying on its people and is stockpiling the information to plan for the subjugation of the nation's new generations by dumping down the current masses. The gods are preparing for a new world war with the Titans and Rouge gods. There are mass shootings every month or so. I mean, surprise me. Naruto grumbled with a sour look on his face. Those don't scare you? Wow, here I thought that you would be affected by what is being talked about on the media. Ring ring. Naruto and QB looked at the telephone. Before Naruto could answer, his mom walked in and answered. Hello, oh hello Chiron, I see. Naruto saw her looking over her shoulder. I understand they will be upset, no I understand perfectly, goodbye. What was that about, mom? Naruto asked. Sally Jackson sighed and pulled her son into a hug. I'll tell you after Percy wakes up. Is that okay, honey? Sally said softly as she rubbed Naruto's back with her hands with love. He needs to hear this too. Okay. Sally laughed and stood up. You still have the hiccups, huh, sunshine? Let's see if I can take care of that. Going through the kitchen to get what she needed to help Naruto and make breakfast, she noticed that Naruto had a worried expression on his face. Honey, is something wrong? Is that bully picking on you again? Mom. Naruto cried out as he watched her get the sugar out. I said, I'll take care of it. I see. Naruto scowled as his mother nodded her head. So that kid was picking on you and you're worried that he will do something today. I thought I told you to tell a teacher or do what that anti-bullying stuff. I, tried mom. He, did and apostrophe t won't stop. He and, his group, call me, a was and, make fun, of me cause I play with, the girls. I see, but don't you like playing with the girls, honey? Sally tried to come up with the right words to tell her upset son. I know that so of them enjoy your company very much. Naruto's expression went to downcast. That's not, the point. He spoke with clenched fingers. Sally signed, QB did too, not that she noticed. I know, dear. Now open that mouth of yours so I can help you get rid of those hiccups. Naruto opened and let her place the spoonful of sugar in his mouth. There. Now run that cute face upstairs and wake up Percy. It's the last day of school. Naruto nodded and raced off, QB right on his heels. So how are you going to wake your brother up today? I'll do it like, mom told me to first, then my way. So like an elephant. Seems like a better plan than me jumping on him, Now hush. Percy lied in his bed slumbering. Every few seconds his hands or eyelids would twitch. So deep in Hino's and Morpheus's domains that he did not stir when the door opened. He also did not awake to the hands that shook his shoulders. Moaning, he turned over and covered his head with his pillow. Percy. Zzz. Come on Percy, wake up. Naruto glared at his brother as Percy snored under his pillow. Growling, Naruto walked towards the closest that the brothers shared. As he walked, he noticed the air shimmering outside the window for a second before disappearing. Ignoring it, Naruto opened the closet doors and grasped what he was looking for. Walking towards the end of the bed, Naruto took a deep breath in and blew his horn. Eeeeeoo. Ai. Screamed Percy as he flew out of his bed, ears ringing. His eyes darted around the room, looking for the elephant that woke him up. His eyes landed on the form of his brother on the ground, laughing his head off. Why you? Percy launched his pillow at Naruto's face and followed suit. The two boys started to tumble around the room, fighting with each other as Naruto tried to fend his brother off from tickling him. After a minute of this, Naruto raced away laughing. Percy growled as he got up from the floor. Dropping his PJs to the floor, Percy heard an eep from outside his window. Looking towards it, he could have sworn there was blood hanging in midair before it disappeared. That dream must be making me see things. Percy thought as he got dressed and left the room. I hope Grover is alright. Morning Percy, Sally called out to her son as she carried a plate of food to the dining room table. Percy grunted as he glared at his brother. I hope that you have a better attitude for school today, Mr. Grumpy Pants. And Naruto, don't blow your horn so early in the morning. Some people are trying to sleep. Yes, mama. Percy narrowed his eyes at the innocent angel look Naruto was giving his mother. Reaching over, he swatted the back of Naruto's head. Ow, Percy. That's for waking me up like you did. Percy stated as he started to eat waffle. Their mother walked in carrying a cup of coffee and her food. Now boys, today's the last day of school, so let's get off to the right foot. Noticing that Percy wasn't eating as fast as he usually did, she looked at him. Is something wrong, dear? I think Grover's in trouble. Percy began telling her and his brother about the dream he had before woken up. Sally pursed her lips as Percy spoke. She was still upset after what happened the last time her children were at the camp. Grover's a big sadder now, Percy. Besides, we would have heard from camp. Sally trailed off as if trying to find the right words to say. Never mind. What is it? Percy asked, seeing that her shoulders were tense. Nothing. Tell you what, you two. How about after school we go to the Rockefeller Center to that shop you like, Percy? Tyson can join us in celebrating the passing of 7th grade. Naruto gasped for breath and tried to wiggle free from the clutches of the monsters that held him in place. At the other side of the cavern room, Naruto wasn't sure what to call it. QB was on the floor in hysterics. Why was the fox having a good old time? Because of what Naruto was trapped by, of course. Only you kid could try to escape from that. QB snickered into a pause. It looked at Naruto. Naruto's gaze, if it could, would have vaporized the fox. Help me, QB, Naruto hissed at his friend so that his captors wouldn't wake. A snake tail suddenly wrapped around him and pulled him close to the owner of the tail. Jaya. Foxy smells good, moaned the monster as it rubbed its cheek against Naruto's in its leap. Neither canter, thought a blue-faced Naruto as he tried to wiggle his way free. To QB's delight and Naruto's misfortune, Naruto's actions only caused the monster to hold onto the boy tighter and press his face against its chest. Only you kid, QB thought as Naruto tried to escape the overly affectionate monster. How did this happen to me? The 9-year-old asked as he gasped for breath, only to pull back into the female monster's assets, or lack of. His mind flashed back to the last several days where it all began. Sally Jackson looked at her sons. Naruto was stuffing his face with eyes, while Percy looked like she took the rug out from under him. She didn't blame him. Percy had his heart set on going to camp this summer and she felt bad doing to him. But with the problems Chiron said that were going on, she knew that it wouldn't be proper. Not until she's sure that Naruto would be safe as well. "But mom," he began before being cut off by a look from his mother. "Don't you but mom me, Persis. I know you want to go back to camp so you can train and see your friends." "That's not the only reason," Naruto voice sing-songed out. Sally looked at him with her eyebrow tilted and a confused look on her face. "Oh?" Naruto grinned, and it took only a few seconds for Percy to figure it out. "Why, my little cookie monster. Cause Percy gotta finish that and you're a dead man." Percy hissed into Naruto's ear with his hand covering his brother's mouth, his other hand in his pocket fingering Riptide. Naruto eyed his brother as he mentally went through his options and chances of survival. Percy's eyes narrowed as Naruto mouthed, "What's in it for me?" "Percy has a what?" Sally slowly raised her mug of coffee to her lips, enjoying her eldest squirm in his sit. She mentally noted to punish him for threatening his brother, perhaps by having him help her with her turn to host ladies' night. However, she knew that this was not the time or the place to push for information, as her youngest looked like he needed help to escape from his brother. "Nothing, mom," Percy said hurriedly with a push. "Or not. This may be the better punishment," Sally Jackson thought as she stared at Percy. "Oh, okay then. The reason that I want you both home today is that your uncle is coming over later tonight. He was going to be in the neighborhood and I thought it would be nice to see him again." "Uncle Max?" Percy rolled his eyes at Naruto's excitement and looked at his mother questioningly. A few years back when Naruto was 5 was his and Percy's first time meeting the brother of their mother. Sally rarely spoke of him and probably would have never if she had only Percy to take care of. But with 2 boys and a walrus that looked at her youngest son in a very questionable manner, Sally was forced to ask for his help. Uncle Max was an interesting person. He was Sally Jackson's elder brother by a few years and had a background that she refused to tell her children. He had a huge heart and spent most of his time traveling doing his work with the Red Cross. He was the one to introduce Percy to chemistry and helped him with his dyslexia so that Percy wouldn't go around working with dangerous chemicals, not knowing which was which. Max made sure to test Percy every chance he got to make sure his nephew was handling them correctly. As for Naruto, Max brought cooties from around the world for him to try. The sugar rush that Naruto had gotten due to the cooties made him go on a pranking spree that lasted for a week. Needless to say, Sally was not pleased to find out that her brother was the cause for her and Gabe's headaches. Gabe was so traumatized by the event, he actually went to work and overtime for a total of 7 months. "Yes, Uncle Max." Sally sighed. "He is passing by and thought it would be nice to see the family again. Also, he is going to bring your cousin over so you two will be on your best behavior." Naruto hissed at the mention of his cousin. She was the bane of his existence and scared him. Percy looked like he swallowed a lemon and paled as he looked at his brother in pity. Looking at the time, he realized that he had to go to class. "See ya, Mom." Sally smiled and gave her son a wave goodbye. "Remember to come home after school." "I know. Mom." Sally looked at Naruto's pleading blue eyes. "Please say that you are kidding that she is coming over. Please, Mom." "What's wrong with her, honey? She's an angel and such a proper young lady. I do believe that she will make a man real happy one day." Sally smiled as she thought of her niece. Patting Naruto's head and not seeing the expression on his face, she continued to talk. "Besides, you two are cute together and Max said that she misses her cousin. Now head to your room and get your things together, young man." Naruto dashed as fast as he could to his room. Opening the door, he wasn't surprised to see QB reading one of his comic books. "QB. We have SOS. My cousin is coming over." "What?" yelled the tailed beast as he nearly snapped his head from his spine to look at Naruto. "The one that is a fury in mortal flesh." "The same." Both of them shuddered in fear. "What are we going to do?" "As soon as I get home there will be a meeting for all the members of GROSS," Naruto declared as he got his books into his bag. "Now help me get ready for school, you wimp." "The wimp? Who here locked themselves inside the closet the last time she was here? You hid in the washer and dryer for most of the time she was here." "Not my fault, it was bath day. Unlike you, I try to stay on a steady schedule for them. Baths are evil and you know it." QB rolled its eyes at Naruto. "So do you have a plan to get rid of her this time?" "Of course I do," Naruto declared. "At least I will," he said sheepishly. QB snorted and smacked its head with a tail. A few hours later, Naruto slammed his head into his desk. "So bored," he moaned as he just left his head there. The students around him rolled their eyes as the teacher droned on and on about the test they took the day before. Naruto tilted his head to the side to look at his seat neighbor to the right of his desk. His neighbor giggled as she tried not to pay attention to Naruto's face. Stealing a glance to make sure the teacher wasn't paying attention, she leaned over to Naruto. "PSST, pay attention, Naruto. It's the last day of school and you look like you are being drained of your life." Naruto groaned as he looked at Mia. She was an exchange student from somewhere that Naruto forgot about as he was usually distracted by her red hair and amber eyes. Like today, her eyes were so pretty and as the sunlight from the window shined in her hair, it practically glowed. "Says you. You're the ace student here and the teacher's pet." Mia blushed and then glared at Naruto. "Shut up and pay attention, and are you coming this weekend?" Naruto rolled his eyes and looked at Mia, then shrugged. "I don't know. Hopefully I will be able to unless something happens." Naruto went back to staring at the diagram that the teacher was drawing on the chalkboard. He idly wondered what his brother was doing and when Percy was going to come save him from school. If he hasn't already gotten into trouble. Percy yipped as a flaming dodgeball streaked by him, setting his gym shorts on fire. Tyson and him were the only two not freaking out about the monsters that were lunging exploding dodgeballs. As he weaved and dodged the balls of doom, he idly thought that this could be a great activity for the camp. The flaming dodgeballs, not the whole monster eating the demigod's burned flesh part. Twisting his body, Percy narrowly got missed by a ball for Skull Crusher. With a smirk, he slammed his leg on the floorboard and darkly chuckled as the other end of the board hit between the monster's legs. Bonus score. 100 points, Percy thought as he watched the monster fall to the ground in pain. Too bad he won't die from that, but so worth it. Grasping the now broken board, he thought of his choices. If it wasn't for the fact that he now had a makeshift weapon, he would have had one of the monsters throw a ball at the locker room doors so that he could get to Riptide. But now Tyson, throw it at the pipes. He yelled as he snapped the board into two pieces, one for each hand. Nodding, Tyson threw his last ball at the ceiling. His aim was true as the ball exploded against the pipes. Water poured down across the gym floor and as soon as it hit his skin, Percy felt the weariness fade away. With his renewed energy, he coated the wood with a layer of razor-sharp eyes and settled into a fighting stance. While not the most elegant weapons are well made, Percy knew they would sever his purpose well enough to kill the monsters. The monsters eyed him as they got ready to fight. At an unseen sign, Percy charged. He raced forward at a dead sprint and used Sloane's face as a springboard, hearing a stiffening crunch as the bully's nose broke. Spinning to avoid one of the balls of doom, he brought down the makeshift weapon in his left hand and had the spike at the end pierce the monster's head from above. Still moving, Percy used the one on his right to block the fist of another unnamed monster before slashing it with his other. Both monsters crumbled to dust as Percy continued to move. As he fought, he idly wondered why the monsters looked so surprised at his fighting skill, like they thought he would be weaker or less skilled than what he was showing. And I would be if not for the constant sparring I have had with Naruto over the school year. As the son of Poseidon went through the monsters like a blender, hacking and slashing, Percy noticed that the teachers were trying to open the doors to the gym. Frowning as he blocked an explosion with one of his weapons that broke due to the usage and wear, he wished that the gods would go easy on him. Then again, maybe not. As the last monster was able to sweep him off his feet. Nah, he hasn't had any problems so far this year. Titch must be going easy on him for once. Naruto rolled his pencil on his desk and checked the time. 5 more minutes to go. I can't wait that long. The whole class cheered when the bell rang, stopping the teacher from his monologue. In seconds, the various 4th and 5th graders raced out the doors to the playground where the festival was set up. Soon the whole area was full of children having fun with the things to do. Naruto raced to the food area and grabbed himself a slice of pizza. Mia walked up to him chewing on some candy with her sisters on either side of her. "Come on Naruto, you have to come to the party," whined Mia as she latched onto his arm. She then flicked a lock of her red hair to the side. She then pouted cutely. "Please Naruto. I don't know Mia. My family is having guests over and mom would be upset if I skipped out on her. I'll let you know as soon as I can." Mia gave Naruto a teary-eyed puppy look. "But Foxy, you have to come. My mom is on my tail about you and really hopes you can make it to dinner." Ram and Ram looked at each other as they watched their older sister try to convince Naruto to come to dinner. Seeing that Naruto was not changing his stance on the subject, they chose to help him out. Say sis, Naruto looks like he needs some space." Say sis, Mia need to let him have some space." Mia glared at her sisters. "Why do you to do that?" Say sis, what is talking about?" Ram asked her sister. Ram looked at her sister. Say sis, she looks upset." "That's it." Mia lunged at her sisters who raced away giggling. Naruto sighed in relief as he went back to eating his pizza. "Girls are troublesome," he declared in his thoughts as he ate. After finishing his pizza, Naruto joined in his fellow schoolmates in the festival having fun. As he went from event to event, something told him something wasn't right. Like the feeling of a bad storm heading in before it hits. That feeling was dashed as he discovered the cache of cookies that the teachers were trying to hide from the students so they could hand them out when everyone was leaving. It took 3 teachers and the officer to hide the cookies from the mouth of one NarutoXPercyJackson. Unluckily for them, his fellow schoolmates noticed and soon the school became a battlefield for the ownership for the cookies. No one was hurt too badly and nothing was damaged, but the students were forced to head home as they had been worn out from all the running and fighting. Naruto said his goodbyes to his fellow classmates and friends and wished them luck over the summer. Sitting by the front door with his bag, Naruto waited for Percy to pick him up from his way home from school. After a while, however, Naruto found himself in front of his mother, who was not happy. Tartarus. The pit of the underworld in Chasm. It is a place where no god or demigod dare enter. It was the home of the enemies of the gods and the primordial, who was the pit itself. No one other than the denizens of the place knew what Tartarus looked like. The 6 original gods had an idea on what it looked like when they freed their relatives from the Carav camp during the last year. However, that was from an age-long past, and even the first 6 had more or less had forgot what was in the pit. Only Hades had a clearer memory than his brothers and sisters. And also knew that there were things in the pit that were far worse than anything the gods had ever faced. Now it was the home of the Titan Lord himself, broken but very much aware of his surroundings and the outside world. However, the Titans were not the only ones who were enemies of the gods. 2 orbs glowed in the dim light of the pit as the owner looked at his prey with hunger. He did not know how long he had been in the pit, but he knew that it was a long time. Raising his meat cleaver, he killed the monster and started to divvy up the meat before it could dispel. Not enough, he thought as he started to eat. How he, the bane of the fates, now had to survive on meager scraps when once he was feared by mortals and monsters alike. Using the rib bone of a hellhound to pick his teeth, Thun's thoughts went back to his project and how it would aid him against the fates. It was worth the years spent in the pit. When he and his fellow Gigantes had first arose, he had found something the sun god had lost. Vials of immortal blood. And not just any blood from when the gods were young. Of course the fates had stopped him and destroyed the majority of the vials, but he was the bane of fate. He had hid several of the vials just in case of that event. Prometheus was also a help, having traded secrets to demigods of the past to gain samples of gods and his fellow titans that were trapped by the gods. And now I am here in the pit trapped. Father was able to give me a few minutes to leave and talk to him and come back before the gods noticed I was free. Thun sighed. Now I have to wait until the titans are done weakening the gods so we can arise. Perhaps this will allow my projects to grow stronger before I revel to its destiny. The surrounding area echoed as Thun chuckled darkly. Prometheus would set each one of the experiments against each other to see which one was worthy of become his, the giant of anti-fate, champion. Naruto cowered in the seat as his mother drove him home. He did not know what was wrong, but Naruto knew by judging by her face that she was livid with someone. Hopefully not me, Naruto prayed in his head as his mother turned the car onto their street. Sally Jackson glanced at the rearview mirror. Have you seen Percy at all today? Naruto shivered at his adopted mother's tone. I haven't seen him since he left for school, Mom. Sally Jackson's hands tightened around the steering wheel. Even with non-mortal means. No, Naruto looked at the back of High Mother's head as he was riding in the back. Why are you asking me? Are you mad at me? Because of what your brother did earlier, I am upset, honey. Sally's face relaxed as she let out a sigh. I was hoping for a ladies' day out and pampering before your guests come tonight. However, the police came and brought me into questioning about your brother being a terrorist. And let me tell you, I was hoping for that spa appointment today for the past year. She finished with a bitter tone. Naruto nodded as he got out of the car. When Sally was released by Hades, he had gifted her with an all-expensive paid spa, massage treatment and makeover at New York's finest. When his mother found out, she went into hysterics over the news. After all, even if it was until a year, it was more than what she could ever afford, as the price would have been at least $1 million due to the line to get in. Now she would never get to have her special day. Percy suddenly felt as that he should avoid his mother and any female immortal for the next several weeks. He gulped as Annabeth slowly reached for a baseball bat with a glint in her eyes when he had told her that he had forgotten to bring his brother home from school. Was it his fault that she had asked what would happen if he didn't do so, and he answered, "Traitors." He roared in his mind as the child of Athena's shadow seemed to fill the room and cover her features. The said traitors were Chiron and Tyson, who had fled as soon as he had finished explaining to his fellow demigod. Annabeth, can't we talk about this? Her face, if possible, darkened more. No. Percy's screams of pain filled the camp and the surrounding area as Annabeth delivered female justice to the son of Poseidon. Sally Jackson suddenly felt as if the universe has given her oldest a lesson. Can you race ahead and unlock the day, Naruto? I need to grab the groceries. Sure thing, Mom. Naruto raced away, but not before giving his mother a big hug. Sally laughed as her youngest tried to cheer her up and affectionately rubbed Naruto's untidily blonde hair. Love you, Mom. He stated as he let go. Love you too, honey. Sally cracked a smile as Naruto raced away. Now to get these inside. She thought as she glared at the groceries. QB's eyes snapped open as the familiar scent entered its nose. He's late today. Oh well, time for a quick stretch. Getting up slowly, the nine-tailed fox bent and twisted its form as it awoke from its nap. Ah, that's the spot, it said as one of its vertebrates snapped back into place. A good stretch is something that is great after a nice nap. Now to greet Naruto. The fox slowly and stealthy made its way towards the front door, tail slowly swishing back and forth. As he slowly went towards the hall, the fox heard a noise coming from the window. Now what? The Biju muttered as he started to change directions while sticking to the shadows. QB smirked as he saw Naruto entering the apartment via the fire escape. Aye. Naruto screamed as his friend came down on him, fangs and claws extended. Soon the duo were fighting and rolling around the apartment. This was the scene that Sally walked in on with the groceries. Rolling her eyes as Naruto play fought with his toy, she went to put things away. Remember, Uncle Max and Sarah are going to be here in about an hour. So make sure you clean your room and the bathroom, Naruto. Naruto weakly groaned in reply as his friend sat on him, ending the fight. And make sure you take a bath. Aw, Mom. Don't awe me, young man. You're filthy and I want you to look presentable to your family. Now march. Naruto grumbled as QB got off him. Heading towards the hall, he glared as he passed his nine-tailed friend. This is your doing, jerk. My doing? QB snapped as he dusted himself off. I'm hungry. Your mother didn't feed me anything and how can you even eat anyway? In fact, you're a massive chakra, how in the wisdom of the gods can you eat anyway? Also, you told me that you are sealed inside me yet here you are talking to me. Humph. I eat because I can. Ask the gods why they eat for all I care, they're masses of energy too. Brat. QB flicked its tails and followed Naruto. I guess we are having the meeting in the bathroom while you take that bath. Naruto shivered in fear. Muttering too low for anyone to hear, he grabbed his things needed for his bath. As he did so, he remembered what he had to ask his mother about him going to see Mia and her sisters later this weekend. Putting the thought aside, he entered the bathroom. At least he tried. QB. Open up. Naruto banged on the door. Not until you say the password. Came the fox's muffled reply. Well, you know it's me, Naruto. How do I know for sure? It's me, you flea-infested rug. Now let me in. How rude. I may not let you in at all for that. Naruto looked at the door in expiration. Fine, I'm sorry for calling you a flea-infested rug. Now please let me in. Okay, I forgive you. Naruto signed with relief. Now what's the password? Naruto growled. Clearing his voice, he began. Foxes are mean. Foxes are fierce. QB has teeth and claws that pierce. Foxes are great. They can't be beat. If I was a fox, boy that would be neat. Go on, what's the next verse? He is so dead when I get in there. Naruto thought as he started on verse 3. I blame Apollo for the poetry that I have to say to the fuzzball. Far away, a certain god of the sun felt as if he had been praised and insulted at the same time. Perhaps I should change from limericks to something else, Apollo thought. Banishing the idea from his mind to the back burner, the god went back to making a new demigod with a raven-haired woman that shared a bed with him. I feel as if I should be thanking Apollo for something. Artemis spoke out loud as she led her hunters through the woods. After a few moments the feeling passed. What about Apollo, my lady? Nothing's Perhaps we should take a rest soon. Of course, Lady Artemis. GROSS. This meeting of GROSS will now begin. Naruto declared as he washed his slightly long blonde hair in the tub. I, Naruto, commanding officer and president for life, hereby pass the stage to dictator for life QB, who will now read late meetings minutes. We didn't sing the anthem yet. The fox stated as it shifted its paper pirate hat on his head. Naruto tried not to roll his eyes. We sing it at the end of the meeting. But I want to sing it now. Naruto ducked his head under the water. Coming back up, he moved his wet hair off to the sides. Can't you wait? QB growled and started to sing. Out of key. Oh gross, the most glorious club in the cosmos. While I may not be able to stay dry, at least I can breathe underwater. Naruto thought as he thanked his mother Amphitrite for the ability. While he wasn't exactly thrilled that he had to be breathing the water he was bathing it was better than the fox's singing voice. He could wake the death with his horrid voice. As soon as he was sure it was safe, Naruto came up. Okay, now that you got that out of your system, can we get to the meeting? Fine, I lost the minutes although. Anyway, Commander, our mission is simple in its nature, but hard to commit to. Survive against the sadistic cousin from the Black Lagoon. The lights flickered as the duo shuddered. Sally took a deep breath as she finished Naruto's hair. Stepping back, she looked at her work and gave him a smile. You look nice. Naruto shifted his weight in his clean shorts and yellow shirt that had a black zigzag going horizontal across his middle. He griped his stuffed animal in terror as he watched the clock tick down the seconds until his adopted uncle and cousin came. Did you think on what I asked you about seeing Mia this weekend? I did. Sally was quiet for a moment. And I think that it is alright. You more than earned it, honey. Your brother on the other hand, well, as soon as I dropped you off I will be going to the camp to collect him and forbid him from ever leaving his room until the end of time or until I forgive him. Knock knock. They're here. Sally and Naruto said, each with different emotions in their voices. Sally headed towards the door. Coming. Here we go, QB. It was nice knowing you. Same here, Kit. For what it's worth, you were my best friend. Same here. A male voice came from the doorway. Sally. It's been too long. Sally. It's been too long. Sally Jackson felt herself being engulfed by a hug from her brother as soon as she opened the door. Max grinned as he released his sister. How have you been, sis? The boys giving you any trouble lately? Sally gave her elder brother a lopsided grin. I've been good, Max. The boys have been interesting as of late. They spent last summer at a Greek mythology camp ran by Perry's Latin teacher Mr. Brunner. I think they got a little into it as they came home more rambunctious than normal. Max's grin if anything grew wider. That's good to hear, Sal. I'll have to have Percy and Naruto tell me all about it then. Don't call me that. Sally playfully slapped her brother's chest. Where's your daughter? She's finishing a phone call with one of her client's daughters. Some girl named Piper or something. She was a great influence on the girl and her father has Sarah babysit or come over to help out his daughter every once in a while. She's a sweet kid from what I heard from my daughter. Max frowned for a second and started to talk in a whisper to Sally. But I'm worried for her, Sally. I'm hoping that spending time with her cousin and adopted cousin will help her. Thanks for taking your time to help out. Of course, Sally moved her hair out of her face. You know that I will help out the best I can. I will hold you to it, sis. Max looked over his sister's shoulder. Is that who I think it is? Come here and give your uncle a hug, Naruto. Uncle Max. Naruto ran and jumped into his uncle's arms. His stuffed animal in Naruto's hands as he gave his adopted uncle a hug. Snuggling his face into his uncle's chest, his muffled voice was almost unheard. I missed you. Missed you too, sport. Hello to you too, QB, have you been terrorizing the pigeons again? Naruto looked at his uncle aghast. QB doesn't terrorize pigeons, he strikes fear in the hearts of ninjas and his enemies. He is the most powerful Biju there is. Max nodded his head. Of course he is. I see the killer eye he holds, but if strikes fear in ninja, why aren't you afraid, Naruto? Naruto puffed up his chest and Sally snickered into her hand as Naruto proudly proclaimed that he was his friend and he wasn't scared of him. The sound of steps came from the hallway and Max turned his head to see his daughter. There you, Sarah, come say hello to your aunt and Naruto. Naruto started to shake in fear as Sarah came through the doorway. Aunt Sally, it is good to see you once again. Came the silky voice of Sarah as she gave her aunt a curtsy and handshake. And you too, Sarah. I love that outfit you are wearing, you must tell me where you got it. Please model it for me, dear. Sarah smiled as did so, showing off her outfit. It was a soft green shirt with a darker green jacket. She also was wearing a dark almost black purple leggings and a flower pattern skirt. Her shoes were a nice softer color to match her shirt and leggings. It's fabulous. I must get one for myself. I'm afraid it's one of a kind right now, but it is going into the market soon. I'll see if I can't get you one for free for my wonderful aunt. Think of it as an early present from your niece. Turning her head, she spotted Naruto. Oh, Naruto, you've grown so much. Come here and give your cousin a hug. Naruto backed away from his cousin and looked at his mother in fear. Why didn't she see that Sarah was a dangerous person anyway? But no, all his mother was a young becoming woman with a career in modeling. But he knew the truth, that under that pretty girl face and polite-mannered charm was a monster that was waiting to strike. One that relished the chance to making him feel pain from it. But his mother didn't know. Naruto, give your cousin a hug, she's missed you. Naruto opened his mouth then closed it. He slowly and hesitantly approached his nemesis from the Black Lagoon. As slowly came to his cousin, he looked her over to see if she was hiding something. Having enough of his shyness, Sarah pulled him into a hug. Naruto. Oh, I missed you, she exclaimed as she hugged him, completely ignoring the sound of breaking bones as she tightened her grip on her favorite cousin. Looking down at him as his face was pressed in her cleavage, she gave him a soft smile. Naruto tried not to cry out in pain as Sarah slowly crushed him. His feet dangled as Sarah was a lot taller than him and he was afraid what would happen if she noticed where his face was. Oops. Sarah released Naruto and rubbed the back of her head. Sorry, Naruto, guess I was a little excited to see you. How has my favorite cousin been? I've been good, Sarah, Naruto said as he gulped down air. What was with girls and squeezing him anyway? How's your classes going? They've been well. A bit boring at times, but I passed them. I have an image to keep, you know. She flicked her ponytail off so it fell freely down her back. But I stayed top of my division this year again, so that's good. Naruto nodded his head slowly. So what did you learn this year? Sarah gave him a wicked grin. Leaning over so that her lips were almost brushing his ear, she whispered, "I'll show you personally in the ring, twerp. You should have kissed me by hand and showed me the manners of a gentleman to a lady like me. Looks like I have to beat that lesson in again, brat. I'll consider going easy on you if you remember the other lessons and manners I have beaten into your pathetic little ass." Naruto looked to see if his mother was listening, but she and Max had moved to the living room and couldn't hear Sarah and him talking. "Look at me when I'm talking to you. After the last time I was here I would think you would know better. I need a sparring partner and you will say, 'Yes, Lady Sarah.'" Naruto spoke with a hint of defiance. Sarah rolled her eyes and licked her lips as she studied her adopted cousin. Naruto hid a shuddered as his adopted cousin's eyes roamed over his body, feeling dirty even after taking a bath. "Your tone could use some work, but I'll leave it to being in fear of being noticed in my space." A finger tilted his head upwards and she gave him a soft kiss. "You're one of the few males that I consider worthy, Naruto, even if you're a brat and a twerp. In a few more years perhaps, well, I'll make sure that you will never leave me." Naruto's stomach twisted and he shuddered. "Now," Sarah turned and headed to the living room, "let us join up with our respected parents and see if I can't take you to the gym to practice. I want to keep in shape and you're the only one around here that can keep up with me. The last wanted man who tried blacked out after the 3rd round and at least you can last till round 10. Hopefully one day you or someone else will push me to the limit." As she walked away she grasped Naruto's stuffed fox and looked at it. Throwing it to the ground she comments that he needs to grow up and steps on it as she walks away. "Bummer, Naruto," QP said without shame. He winced in pain as he felt his ribs heal. "I'll wish you luck, but I want to avoid her for a bit." "I understand, QP," Naruto told his friend as the fox slowly went to the bedroom. "Prepare plan number 12 in case we need it." The fox nodded and Naruto headed to the living room to join his family. "I'm going to kill Percy when I see him next." Percy shivered in fear as he held a bag of ice between his legs as the door to the cabin was pounded on. Tyson was fast asleep as the young Cyclops discovered the wonders of Cabin 3's beds. For the past several hours the girls of Camp Half-Blood were out for his blood and his fellow male campers were either avoiding the girls or being forced to help the irradiated females beat him up. The sound of the fountain did little for his nerves as the pounding grew louder. Though Percy, the son of Poseidon, was not afraid to admit, he whimpered as the sound of Annabeth's voice came through the door. "You can't stay in there forever, you know. You will have to leave out sometime to eat. We promise that we will not hurt you a little bit." "I'm not falling for that, Annette," Percy called from where he was on the bed. He shifted his weight on the bed and moved the ice around. "You and the rest of you will only hurt me a lot instead of a little bit." The silence behind the door confirmed what he thought. After all, what kind of idiot would fall for that trick anyway? He pondered as he tried to heal his body. All of a sudden for an instant he thought of perhaps another version of himself that raised his hand in the throne room of the gods with the gods and several demigods pointing at that version. Either I'm crazy or just slightly out of it. Losing the idea of a dumber version, Percy started to think how he could get out of his more pressing issue. On how to get the females to stop wanting to beat him up. Growling, he flung his pillow to the floor. The sound that came from the floor gave him pause. Moving the pillow over he found that part of the floorboards had moved. Uncapping Riptide, he slowly moved the board over to reveal what was underneath. "Thank you, Titch," he said with a grin as the light revealed what was stored underneath. "Looks like the harpies didn't find them when they cleaned the cabins last summer. Only fixed the boards." "So do you have a plan, Annabeth?" asked a member of Demeter's cabin, because Lily's last plan sucked. "How was I supposed to know that he knew to check if we were telling the truth about hurting him that way?" The daughter of Apollo snapped. Annabeth studied the cabin, looking for some weakness to help them drive Percy from the cabin. While a demigod of another god are not in favor could not enter another god's domain, physical objects could, as the Stroll brothers and Naruto had shown many times when they went on a prank spree. But the windows and door were closed, and if they broke them or the roof, the sea god would notice and demand an answer to why they attacked his territory. "I have nothing at this time. Anyone find anything that could be of help?" asked the daughter of Athena as she rubbed her head. She and her sisters were having mixed feelings on the siege they were doing. On one hand it was a problem that was challenging and a new problem to figure out. Then it was the idea that this was the son of their mother's rival, and the idea of him getting the better of them was an insult to their mother and a boon for his father. On the other, he was blessed by her mother and she had no idea what Athena had granted him. Her mother barely ever blessed any children of her rival, but the duo had blessed each other's sons and daughters before in the past. Her brother Matthew studied over the building. "He has to come out sometime to eat and get water, so we can assume that he will be out within a day. If he doesn't have a stash hiding somewhere and if he doesn't resort to drinking toilet water," a daughter of one of the minor gods pointed out. "Plus, why are we doing this anyway? This is stupid and we should be trying to help save the camp. Because he threw down a challenge to us females and we must fight." Connor mocked in an overly girly tone. Rubbing his head he flinched under the glares of the campers before him. "Can't we just settle this some other time?" "Never," cried the voices of several females. Seeing that he was getting nowhere, the son of Hermes left the area to go meet his brother. While he liked Percy and was a good friend of his brother, he was not going to stick his head out for the son of Poseidon. At least not today. Travis ran over to his brother. "So you got that feeling too?" Connor smirked and nodded. Two brothers cracked open the cans of soda that Travis bartered for from one of their half-siblings. Their prank sense was going haywire, and it was centered around the events by Cabin 3. Boilet water again? Perhaps a mud bath? Connor mused as he watched in anticipation. Travis shook his head. "No, I say it's going to be paint or slime. 10 drachmas that does something worthy of their wrath. Make it 20 and the bed for a week if you're wrong. Then you're on." Shaking hands, the brothers waited. They were not to be disappointed. Percy sat on the floor concentrating as he slowly worked. He had to careful as a single mistake could be his undoing and the mockery of Annabeth and her siblings. Wetting his lips he worked, not noticing that Tyson had woken up and was watching him with interest. He had to get the formula just right or else kaboom or some other effect could take place. After a tense minute he sighed in relief. "What are you doing?" Percy jerked and fumbled what he had made. He barely grasped it before the contents in the object broke. "You're awake," the demigod deadpanned at his brother. "How long have you been?" "As soon as you were finishing whatever you were making." "What is it anyway?" Tyson studied the cube that Percy held. It looked like an ordinary Rubik's cube, but the young monster could sense that it was not. Percy held it up proudly. "This, sir, is my ticket out of the cabin and the end of the siege that we are undergoing. The puzzle is going to free us." Confused, Tyson wondered about Percy's mental state when the half-blood started to crackle in glee. "Oh yes, they cannot resist it if the right bait is used." Percy started to wake towards the door leading out of the cabin. He paused for a moment and looked at Tyson over his shoulder. "Best if you plugged your nose until we're a fair distance away from the cabin." But the spring in his step, Percy knew that he was playing a huge gamble with the fates, Titch and Nemesis. But some things in life come from large risks. Upon reaching the door he steeled his nerves and prepared his words. He had once chance and if he was going out he was going out big. "Hey Annabeth, how about a bet?" He called out the door. The reply made his lip twitch. "What kind of bet, seaweed brain?" "I bet that you can't solve my Rubik's Cube in under a minute. If you can do so I'll surrender myself to you and the rest of you guys out there. If not, you all have to drop the subject about what happened before I came to camp." Annabeth looked at her siblings and fellow females before answering. "Why should we take that bet, Percy? After all, you have to leave sometime and there is more of us than you." "Because Tyson thinks you can't. After all, he is a master at solving them and you probably never solved one in your life. And I can solve it under a minute as well, so I guess we children of Poseidon can do it better if he's right. But I want to make sure that it is true." The daughter of wisdom bristled at that remark. How dare he say that his father's children were better than she and her siblings, the children of Athena. "I happen to one of the best here at the camp, Percy. I bet you I can solve your cube in under 40 seconds. And after I do I'm going to make you prove your skill and eat your words. So you take the bet?" Percy was cheering in his mind. Pride and ego were two traits that Cabin 6 had with anything that had to deal with knowledge or wisdom. He knew how to push their buttons as they could not accepted him, a child of Poseidon, being better than them. Areas where his father had domain or influence didn't count. "Of course I'll take the bet if you swear that as soon as I solve the cube you will leave the cabin." Annabeth wasn't stupid, she knew that without his word, Percy could be pulling her leg. "I, Percy Jackson, swear on the river of Styx that if Annabeth and the rest of the campers that are outside my cabin waiting agree to the terms stated and swear as well, I will exit the cabin if Annabeth solves the Rubik's Cube in my hand. If she does not do so under a minute she and everyone else must drop the matter and not seek to continue it." Thunder boomed as soon as Percy stopped speaking. The group of demigods looked at Annabeth and she nodded. "I, Annabeth, swear by what Percy said." The rest of group followed suit and Percy tossed the cube at Annabeth. The wisdom daughter looked at the cube and frowned. She had thought it was a 3x3 cube, however in her hands was a 5x5. "Their minute starts no," Percy called out though his now closed cabin door. Annabeth's hands flew as she solved the cube. So focused, she didn't notice the Stroll brothers making a bet by their cabin. Or that several other prankster kids had joined in. If she had she would have hesitated in solving the cube. But she didn't and she finished the cube in 55 seconds. Her siblings and the girl demigod smirked in victory. "I finished, Percy, come on out." Percy smiled and counted down as he reached for the door handle. 3, 2, 1. Boom. Opening the door he and Tyson almost started to laugh at the scene before them. There was Annabeth and the rest of the siege force, covered with slime and the odor of skunk spray. Tyson raced towards the tree line along with the satyrs who were nearby so that they could breathe. The Stroll brothers and the rest of the camp started to crack up as they saw what happened. Several of the girls shrieked, primarily the ones from cabin 10, and raced away. But what sold the image was Annabeth and her siblings, who were closest to the blast. They were stunned silly with their expressions frozen on their faces as slime dripped down their bodies. "So worth it," Percy stated before fleeing the area. The war cries from the enraged cabin 6 filled his ears as he raced away. He knew that he was going to pay for what happened, but at least he felt as if he had earned the beating now. "I wonder how Naruto's doing." Naruto flinched as Sarah's fist slammed into the face of her opponent, knocking out several teeth from his mouth. A quick jab to his leg and roundhouse kick to the side of his head from her leg, finished number 11. Number 12 started before Sarah blocked her attack with the pipe and slammed 12 into the wall several times face first. After making sure that the bleeding girl was still alive but also still awake, Sarah flung 12 to hit numbers 1, 2 and 6 who were getting up. Ducking under a high kick, Sarah punched with both fists to hit the sweet spot between 10's legs. He collapsed to the ground foaming and a glazed look in his eyes. "She's a monster," 4 stated as she panicked and screamed as Sarah's weight fell on her via body slam. Flipping off, she captured 7 in a headlock and used her strength and leverage to throw him to the ground. Swiping her sweat and hair off to the side, she looked up to the cameras that were recording the fight. "Any more, Jack? These ones are good, but they need more training in order to challenge me." "Sorry dear," came a voice from a speaker. "But that's everyone here that is willing to take you on. Did the weapons help at all?" Sarah rolled one shoulder then the other. "A bit, but they need to work on their teamwork and not crowd the target." The groan came from one of her down practice opponents before Sarah grabbed a now broken quarterstaff and hit him over the head. "Hey. Don't hit them anymore, Sarah. The bill is already high already and I don't need them to be more broken than they already are." "Aw Jack, I didn't know you cared." "Listen girl, my business would suffer if the word got out that this club holds illegal underground fighting with limited to no holds matches. Hell, the only reason your toy is allowed in here is because your matches sell and I don't want to lose my prime money-making fighter. TCH, well at least clean this bit up. I want to finish my cousin's training." Everyone who heard her words shivered in fear and in pity for Naruto. Naruto would have ran, but Sarah had collared him and had the collar connected to the wall with a chain. For his protection she called it. Naruto knew that it turned her on and because he had tried to run when she had dragged him here. This wasn't the first time he had been here, as Sarah called it her home away from home and brought Naruto to train with her, but she had never been so violent. "Why me?" he wondered as she swayed her hips back and forth as she approached him. Sarah loved showing off her figure and her outfit showed it off in spades, but at the same time gave maximum protection against her foes in the pit. Ever since he and Percy had gone to camp, Naruto had noticed that she was similar in looks to one of Aphrodite's children, but had the mannerisms and bloodlust of Ares when fighting. But she was a pure mortal, and Naruto hoped that she didn't become another victim of a god's overactive sex drive. "So you want to get started now?" Sarah asked her adopted cousin as she gently placed her hand on his cheek. She giggled as he turned his head away and pouted. Tracing his birthmarks, Sarah felt her heart thump loudly in her chest and she felt her tongue wet her lips. She could not help it, he was too cute and innocent for his own good. Dense like Percy, but she knew that if it wasn't for her the boys would have only rocks for brains. A taser and bribes of candy went a long way after all. After Percy was trained it was easy to enforce proper study habits onto Naruto. "Don't worry, I'll be gentle. Thank the gods. At first. Then we will take it at my pace, sweets." "I take it back." Note to self, ask Percy for help in defacing a statue on Olympus of whichever immortal cursed me to being with her. Knowing it would be pointless to resist, he nodded slowly. Sarah squealed in joy and compelled his head forward to land between her breasts by pulling on the chain. Of course, this meant Naruto had a hard time breathing and holding his breath. "Lucky kid," thought the manager as he watched from his booth as Naruto struggled to escape. Sarah moaned in pleasure as Naruto brought his hands up to push away from her, but his hands were pushing and touching the wrong places. Many tried to look away from the scene as blood dripped from their noses. "Ah, Naruto." Sarah gasped as she freed his head. She turned her head off to the side with a bright red blush on her face. Then with her free hand she slapped Naruto into a wall. "What the hell was that, you pervert?" She shouted at him with the blush still shining on her face. Growling, she used the chain to send him flying into the air before yanking down. Spinning on one foot, she let go of the chain and kicked him across the room. "Ouch. That's going to leave a mark on you, kid." Naruto blinked in surprise. "Okay, I think I may have brain damage as I thought I heard QB. That last kick into the may have, but you are still an idiot." "It's me, you fool." "QB. Hi?" Naruto asked out loud in confusion, blinking his eyes. The collar had come off mid-flight and he was now hiding in the dust cloud, hoping his monster of a cousin wouldn't find him. "No, I'm Bugs Bunny. Of course it's me." Also duck and roll to the right in 10 seconds. Lost, Naruto did not listen and was promptly sidelined by a body thrown by Sarah. I thought I said duck. Anyway, kid, I'll explain later on how you can hear my voice, but you have to trust me. 10 o'clock, leap. Naruto flung himself away from the distortion. Sarah appeared where he was and growled when she saw that she had missed hitting him. Her face was flustered and she was panting in excitement. Oh Naruto. Come out and play, she called, her voice dripping of something that Naruto could not identify, but everyone else in earshot could. It wasn't one of pain-giving, but Naruto didn't know that. All of his mental capabilities were shouting at him saying danger danger Dr. Smith. I want to show you something. Nope nope nope. Not going to happen, he chanted in his mind as he ran, his demigod powers and ADHD kicking in. He and Percy had experimented on what powers he could manifest. Chiron told them it was unlikely that Naruto would have a full set and range until he was older, but also stated that it was possible to unlock some by force until Naruto reached 6th grade. So far he had unlocked 6 demigod powers. Water breathing, air and water disturbance detection, basic wind gliding, minor use of shadow cloaking, and minor plant communication. It irked him that he had no combat-related powers yet, but the skills were something any ninja would want, QB pointed out. A little help would be great. First, don't speak out loud. Just think of me and talk in your head, like telepathy or whatever the wheelchaired naked ape from that comic called it. So what I miss? I've lost my mind, Naruto thought before cloaking himself in shadow and hiding in a corner. The potted plant helped to hide behind as it cast a natural shadow to blend in. Sarah raced by without looking, and Naruto fled, his heart slowed down as he relaxed. Collecting himself, he tried what QB had mentioned, but nothing happened. Caillou, are you there? Naruto heard a slapping sound in his mind. Yes, I'm here. I guessing the seal isn't weak enough for you and me to communicate via your mind yet. But let's focus on the task at hand. Your survival against your cousin. What I want to know is, Naruto grumbled as he crawled away from his hiding spot. Why is you able to talk to me in my mind? Unless the shrink was right and you're a figment of my imagination after all. QB growled and spewed a string of curses that Naruto ignored. Why can't she torment Percy? Because the fates aren't that cruel and being taught math by one of Hade's minions is cruel enough for them. QB pointed out. Naruto nodded his head in agreement as he tired to pay attention to his surroundings. But his luck failed him as Sarah appeared above him and forced him to the ground in a hold. Help. Naruto cried out in terror as she grabbed his ankles with one hand. Please don't kill me. You're not going to die, little cousin. It would take too much effort to hide the body and explain to Aunt Sally. But I'm disappointed in you, brat. Next time try to keep moving when trying to avoid a stronger fighter, and also Sarah's free hand traced down his torso and chest playfully. If you wanted to get intimate you could have asked. Taking advantage of a young virgin girl like me could get you into trouble. Image what your mother would say if she found out you fondled your cousin's chest like that. But good underhanded tactic. But now I have to make sure you learn your lesson even more so. So let's get in the pit and fight properly. My sweet ninja toy. Her silky and lusted-filled voice punctuated each of her words as she started to drag him to the fighter's pit. Naruto's eyes lit up as he remembered that he was a ninja in training. Hope this works, he prayed as he reached up. Love you, Mom, Percy. What are you planning? Slap. Ah, perverted twerp. Naruto nursed a black eye as he and Sarah walked into the mall. His body ached all over from the beating, she called it tough love, and it was a friendly spar. His mother had asked what happened, and before Naruto could tell her that it was Sarah's fault, she told Sally her version. How a group of boys had jumped them and Naruto had tried to fight them off, only she had to internet to make sure that he wasn't hurt. She said that he did well, but she was afraid for him when they pulled weapons out. Of course his mother didn't care to hear that it was Sarah who beat him up, as there was a cop who confirmed Sarah's story, and when he told her his version, the cop pointed out that Naruto had a rather nasty bump on the back of his head. So his mother thought he must have gotten the details mixed up. Sally gushed over her and him and to Naruto's growing horror, but his mother's joy, Sarah suggested that they all get manicures. So there he was with his nemesis and mother at the mall to get his nails done. Worse, several girls that knew him worked at the place from the academy. He hated his life at times as there was no avoiding them. Naruto brewed as he dragged his feet along, listening to his mother and cousin have a girl-on-girl talk. For a 9-year-old boy it was horrible to listen to. He never really understood the female need to talk about such random stuff, and the only reason he could even semi-understand was due to his schooling at the girls' academy. As it was a Friday afternoon, so the mall was packed and his mother kept him close to arm's length. He hated being treated like he was going to be taken away and wanted to explore the mall without his mom or brother hounding on him. But no, he was too irresponsible and young to go out on his own in the eyes of his mother. Excuse me? Naruto blinked and turned around. There, sitting on a bench was a man in a suit and another in a tracksuit. The one in the suit he didn't recognize, but he recognized the second. Hermes. Naruto tugged on his adopted mother's hand, and when she looked over to where he was pointing, her eyes widened. Go take care of that. I'll distract your cousin and get us in line. Don't be held up too long as I need to get you to your friend's home after our manicures. Naruto blushed when he heard Hermes and the unknown snicker in his direction. Gathering what little dignity he had left, he marched up to Hermes. The god gave him a wicked grin. Yo Naruto. How's it going? Don't mock me Hermes, Naruto snapped at the god. Naruto still was mad at the god, and he was number 1 of god on Naruto's shit list. What do you want? Straight to the point of the back. Naruto looked at the man who spoke, but he knew that this was an immortal, but not one he knew. Seeing Naruto's lack of knowledge of who he was, the unknown immortal reached out with his hand. Prometheus. Nice to meet you. Naruto looked at the titan with interest and respect. The titan's face was covered with marks that Naruto knew came from the titan's punishment before Hercules freed him. However, Naruto could see that the titan had a tracking device and a shock collar hidden behind the mist. I'm guessing this is not a chance meeting. The titan of forethought shook his head while Hermes rubbed his temples. Nope, this is request that we need you to do. You see Hermes here. Hey. Snapped the now irritated god of messages. Prometheus ignored the interruption. Lost something of value. You do recall the story of how the Council of the Gods got revenge on humanity after I gave you lot fire, right? Something about a jar, Pandora, and your brother. Naruto said as he tried to recall the story. Percy had to do a report on the myth when he was taking Chiron's Latin class, and Naruto had gotten sick of hearing that story. Yep, that's the one. The god of dimwits here lost the jar after my brother sent it to Artemis on the western coast. He was too busy with a girl and so lost the jar. Hermes came under the glares of Naruto and Prometheus for different reasons. Prometheus continued, so this is where you come in. We would like you to head west and find the jar before some random idiot mortal finds the jar and opens it. Naruto brightened. Like a quest. The two immortals nodded and Naruto let out a cheer of enticement. It was quickly stopped when he remembered where he was. When do I start? As soon as you are able. Hermes growled as he gave Naruto a look. The god was still miffed after what happened the last time he was with Naruto and was mostly neural to the young demigod. But Hermes also did not like Naruto after Zeus punished him for the fiasco. Cleaning the toilets without powers was not fun. This must be taken care of as soon as possible. I shouldn't have to deal with the postman losing his mail and sending a boy to look for it. Naruto pointed out to the god. Also, I'm a dude and we 3 know how Artemis feels about mails even on a good day. I hope you give refunds cause you suck. Prometheus cleared his throat before Hermes could hurt the demigod. So best of luck to you, boy. As you don't have a weapon, I'll start by looking at your friend's home after they go to sleep. Me is home? Questioned the confused demigod. Prometheus shrugged his shoulders while Hermes rolled his eyes. Yes. Inside there should be something that will work well for you. Now I'm guessing that we have used up your time here. So good luck and see you soon. With a flash the two immortals disappeared, leaving behind a piece of paper. Picking it up, Naruto read it. Have fun with your manicure. Hermes P. Arg. Naruto tore up the paper. I will get you, Hermes. He vowed as he was dragged into the stall by his impatient cousin, whereupon the mask descended on him with giggling flair. Naruto. Mia yelled as he walked up the steps to her home. He gulped as his classmate raced forward and jumped. I've been waiting for you. Ah. Naruto and Mia fell to the ground in a tangle of limbs. The redhead girl held on to Naruto and sniffed him deeply. Naruto blushed as the girl licked her lips and looked at him. So how are you, Mia? I'm well but hungry. My sisters are in the living room and my mom is making us something to eat. The girl got up and gave Naruto another hug once he was up. I missed you, Naruto. It hasn't even been that long, Mia, Naruto pointed out to his excited classmate. Grabbing QB and his things, both kids entered the house. So what do you want to do first? He asked as he followed Mia to her room. Mia bit her lip. Naruto, sorry about this, but it's for your own good. Before he could ask what she meant, a giant snake tail slapped him into the wall where he was knocked unconscious. Sweet dreams, Naruto. Percy looked out on the bay staring up at the night sky sipping his soda. Mr. D had forbidden him from leaving the camp to go on the quest and to save his friend Grover. While Tantalus had chosen Claris as the champion even if it was Percy's idea, Mr. D told Percy he couldn't go as his mother was heading to the camp to pick him up in the morning. This sucks. Glaring at the waters of the bay, Percy flicked a stone that bounced twice before sinking into the depths of Poseidon's domain. His blood stirred like the ripples of the water, seeking clam but could not. He hissed as his arm flared up in pain again. Setting down his soda, he looked at his left arm that was wrapped in bandages. Usually it was covered in the mist so that those who weren't clear-sighted could only see a regular healthy arm, but now that shield had fallen along with the magic that was healing it. Hissing in pain, Percy slowly unwrapped his arm and looked at the gift Luke had given him before he had left the camp. Gleaming in the light of Artemis's chariot's light was the pulsing scars from when he had ruptured his veins and arteries to expel the poison from the pit scorpion. Even after so many months, the damage to his arm was still considerable, and not one day went by that the young son of the sea did not feel excruciating pain. Only because of his gift of healing, Chiron's and Apollo's children's healing abilities, and a shit ton of luck, was he able to keep his limb intact. The pain also gave him satisfaction and a sick joy and memory of what he had done to the son of Hermes in return. Taking a swig of soda, Percy popped a vial of a mixture nectar and some sort of liquid that he did not want to think about and drank it down. Biting his cheek, his limb began to burn as the medicine went to work on healing his nerves and muscles. The pain was a side effect that he had to deal with every time he took his potion, and listening to Naruto complaining about it was worse than the drink itself. At nights like these, Percy wondered sort of why questions that only when a person is alone could ask in the silence of their thoughts. "Mind if I sit here?" Percy blinked in surprise and looked over to where the voice came from. Standing a few feet away was a woman dressed like a teacher. A mortal teacher at this time of night? Percy wondered as he nodded. A jogger would make more sense than a teacher, so that means that. "Oh. So what brings you here, Lady Athena?" "Thank you, Percus." Sitting down, the goddess popped open one of his drinks. "Oh, it is amazing sometimes what mortals come up with. Even with the side effects that come with these carbonated drinks, I still get a kick out of them. Especially when they are shaken up and an unsuspecting god opens one. But business comes first, and you did ask me a fair question." Percy stayed quiet as he did not want to upset his father's rival. Athena's gaze flickered over to him and studied him like he was some sort of creature that she found interesting before looking back up to the sky. "As it were, I have a task that could get you out of the camp. While I obey or defer to my father in most manners, in this I need to go around his approval. While I could use one of my children to complete this task, Zeus would take notice, which I cannot allow at this time. So you want me, the child of your rival, to do your task because I'm one of the few that can connect the task to you?" Athena nodded. "Roughly, yes. You see, I have been noticing several odd patterns that I am concerned about. As you have noticed, there are several demigods that are no longer in camp. Some because of the weakling barrier and are doing their best to hide from monsters while staying home. Others have flocked to Luke's side and even now are planning something. I was about to get only a few snips of conversation before one of these rouge demigods left my domain in Boston. I would like you to find out what they are planning." Waving her hand, a folder fell onto Percy's lap. Flipping though the pages to see what was in them, Percy's mind raced. Athena took another few sips as she waited for the demigod to finish his look though. It wasn't long before he looked at his in confusion. "So what is all this?" he asked as he weighted the folder. "That," she said slowly, "is the monetary transaction of several shell corporations and transportation logs over the past several months. Primary, the major transactions all go to a single cruise liner by the name of Princess Andromeda. At a glance the manifest looks normal, but at a closer look there are signs of monster activity that is not normal. That ship is off the coast right now and I want you to go and board it and find out what you can before fleeing." Athena paused and Percy nodded in understanding. "Can I use this too?" "Go save your friend." Athena shook her head in exasperation. "If I knew better I would say that your fatal flaw is your loyalty to your friends. But yes, in fact, if anyone asks, you are to say that you left the camp to save him. If my father finds out the task I have given you, we both will be in trouble. Now, I believe my daughter and Tyson are heading this way. I will be leaving now." But first, waving her hand, 3 duffel bags landed in front of Percy. "Supplies for your trip. Take care, Percus, and good luck." "Thank you, Lady Athena." Percy bowed and closed his eyes as the goddess disappeared in a flash. Blinking, he realised something that she had forgotten to mention. "How am I going to get there?" "I got to escape," was Naruto's only thought and plan as Mia held him even tighter. The Lamina moaned in her sleep as her tail crushed him as it tightened. QB looked on with an indifferent look on his face. After all, what sane straight male would want to leave that position, being held by a sexy and young female? Granted, it was a monster girl, but who wouldn't want to hit with her once she grew up? Wonder if he got his shyness from his father. QB recalled how Minato was girly looking as a kid before Kushina started dating him. The fox yawned as he lied on his pillow that he found on the floor. Concentrating, he sent a bit of his chakra into Naruto to increase his healing factor. What? He didn't want the baka to die. Look at her mother, for the love of Kami. She's going to be a hot chick when she grows up, and if Naruto screws this up, I'm going to take over and… Snap. Aye. Oh. Naruto, I am so sorry," cried out Mia, waking up to the sound of Naruto screaming in pain after his ribs broke. Seeing the position they were in, her face turned bright red. Yep. Quickly unwinding her tail to free her friend, Mia miscalculated the force and speed. Naruto was sent flying into the wall and left a rather large indent with spider cracks surrounding him. Me and QB winced at the sight of Naruto slowly being peeled off the wall by gravity. I am going to die. Naruto hit the floor with a thud and lay still as Mia slithered up to him. Boy. What's going on in there? His eyes blurry by the impact, Naruto looked to see Mia's mother at the entrance. His face went beet red as soon as he became aware what Mia's mom was wearing. QB's jaw dropped as Mia's mother entered the room sexily as possible for a half-woman snake person. Ram and Ram entered behind her with their PJs rubbing their eyes. Do you know what time it is, Sweet Fangs? I know you want to spend time with your friend, but you'll get the chance after the elder blesses him for the ceremony. Yeah, sis. We want a piece of him too. Yelled Ram as she coiled her tail under her. Ram's tail vibrated and rattled as she stared at her elder sister. You just want him cause he smells so much like your pet fox that you ate in your sleep last year. Mia's tail lashed out and sent stone shards flying in her agitation. You don't speak about little Coco. He was a great pet and he ran away. Mia's mother and I'm sweat dropped and opened her mouth to correct her daughter, but chose not to correct her. Of course, honey. Ah, I see the young man is up. Hello again, it is good to see you again. Oh dear, your ropes seem to have fallen off. Shit. And those clothes seem too tight to sleep in. Honesty, Mia dear, look at his face, he is probably overheating. Girls, make sure to strip him down to his underwear please before you tie him up again. Naruto scrambled backwardness as the three young Lamina cheered and reached for him. QB would have laughed, but he was knocked out under a pile of stone shards. Faraway males everywhere were wishing they were in Naruto's place with a group of attractive females in their underwear PJs, you get the idea. But Naruto wasn't like that. Strip him of his pants. No. Stop struggling, Naru. They are coming off. Oh. Rocket pattern underwear. I didn't know you liked that, Naruto, it looks so cute on you. Look at him blush. Give those back. Hold still. Ow. I got his arms. Rem, get his legs. That's it, girls. Rub your scent over him so that other monsters know you claimed him. What's that rising in his underpants? Is it a weapon? I'll check. Don't touch that. Jiraiya looked up from his writing and frowned. It was as if a great disturbance had disturbed the perverseness of the world. It would not do. Packing his bags, the toad sage frowned as he looked at the map of the nations. From what he could tell, the unpleasant feeling of a ninja that had not accepted the ways of the pervert. The last one was Minato, was that meant. Minato's heir lives. The sage yelled as he danced with joy. Soon another will join our brotherhood in the ways of the pervert. Ma ha ha. Lady Artemis. That feeling's back of a super pervert. Permission to eliminate the source before it infects others. There you go, Naruto, that wasn't too hard, was it? Mia's mother asked as she looked at the very embarrassed demigod. The four Lamina licked their lips and they stared at Naruto's form. Naruto covered his body with his hands and arms and tried not to think about what happened to him. Being striped by girls was something that he was used to, not that he was proud of it. Modeling for the girls at the academy meant that he spent several hours being around girls half to nearly naked. But never so violently and by monsters. Mia's mother made her way to Naruto and circled him, studying him like a fine meal. Her forked tongue flickered in and out of her mouth and her eyes narrowed in thought. Reaching out, she pinched his butt cheek and Naruto squeaked. He will make fine stock, Mia. You should be proud of him. Mia's face went crimson in color to the point it was brighter than her own hair. Mother. Laughing, Mia's mother slithered away from Naruto. Oh honey, you are so easy. Now, I must go and inform our other guest that we have the demigod and he is in good heath. Ta-ta. Ram and Ram parted so that their mother could pass as they stared at Naruto with lust in their eyes. That look dimmed only slightly once their sister was done binding up Naruto again. Mia, frustrated that they were eyeing up her man, threw Naruto's shirt and pants at them. As well as other sharp pointy objects. Fleeing the room, the duo held onto the clothes that had Naruto's scent on them. Alone at last. Naruto tried to worm away, but Mia was too fast. She easily picked him up and placed him in her bed. Now my sweet Foxy, we are together at last. I knew when I first saw and smelled you that you were my chosen one. You smell so good that if I didn't claim you, some other monster would have taken you. But you are safe here once the ceremony is complete and the queen binds us together. Oh joy. Naruto thought sarcastically. As he couldn't move again, he was forced to listen to Mia's plans for after they were bound together. After what felt like hours, he noticed that she had fallen asleep. QP. He hissed to his friend. Ugh, what hit me? The fox asked as he stood up in the middle of the pile. Oh, Kit, can you stop spinning? I'm getting dizzy again. No time for that, QB, cut me loose so we can get out of here. The fox rolled his eyes and swayed back and forth as he moved to Naruto. When we get the chance, we are getting you lessons on how to escape being tied up and caged, Kit. Not my fault. Pouted Naruto as Mia mumbled in her sleep. Mom is still mad after the whole rope trap fiasco. To be fair kid, she had spent all afternoon getting ready for a job interview and being hung in front of the apartment with her underwear showing. Then there was the part when she was pelted by water balloons. QB took the rope into his jaws. What? Naruto asked. I said I hate this. The fox spat out as he finished cutting the rope. Walking over the tail of Mia, he started on the ropes holding Naruto's hands together. She was smart separating the fingers in such a way that he couldn't even try to escape. If we were in the elemental nations she could be a Anbu level ranked in this. I hope she isn't into Bonbeep like Kushina was. The two males slowly moved away from the sleeping Lamina once Naruto was freed. Naruto shivered from the cold breeze that caressed his skin. Seeing that his clothes were unavailable, the young demigod wondered if Hermes had cursed him to have poor luck on his travels. QB led the way out of the room as Naruto followed. As he followed, Naruto realized that he could see quite well in the low light conditions. As the duo traversed the home of the snake women, hiding behind objects or in doorways to avoid the guards, QB suddenly stopped. I smell a storage room up ahead. Perhaps we'll find you something to use for pants. I hope so, Naruto said as he rolled his eyes. Opening the door, Naruto eyed the interior of the room. It was full of food and other such provisions, and a Pakage sitting on a barrel. Walking over to it, Naruto opened the ladder that was on top of it that was addressed to him. Naruto. Hope this will help you. Took some time for the three of us to come up with a gift and then the design. Hope it fits. From your mothers. Yes, if Hermes didn't hand you our gift before you set off on your task, let us know. Setting it down, Naruto opened the Pakage. Whoa, cool. He stated as looked at the contents. Beads of sweet raced down Mr. D's neck as Sally Jackson roared at him and choked the living daylights out of Tantalus. The reason for her rage. Percy Jackson had fled the camp to save his friend Gregor. Along with Annabelle and Tylenol who had gone with him in the middle of the night. The god winced as Sally Jackson slammed a fist into Tantalus's jewels. The ancient Greek collapsed onto the floor frothing and comatose. Mr. D, Sally hissed out. The god flinched at the look the clear-sighted mortal was giving him. Rivers of sweat raced down his skin as the woman slowly moved toward him. Her eyes glowed in rage and black smoke poured out of her mouth. Where are my sons? Mrs. Jackson, please clam down. The god would not admit it due to his pride, but at the moment he was reminded of his wife when he told her he had an affair. She would of course tie him up and give out his best stocks to the highest bidders of the gods, before forcing him to come with he on a shopping spree. Sally grinned evilly and lifted up a bronze poker from the fireplace. Mr. D paled as he eyed the red-hot end of the poker. Outside of the big house nearby, monsters fled, and the campers hid in their cabins, as the screams of pain from the god of wine filled the air. So this part ends here. Alright, that's it for today's video guys. Let me know in the comments section how was the story, and also don't forget to like, share and subscribe. I will meet you in another video, bye bye.